signing autographs.
Oh, he is.
Stephen Hamill, everybody. So the only person who I guess is new on this panel is Sean. So Sean, can we start with you maybe telling us a little bit about what you do?
I toured an independent rock and roll band that basically went from being very, very local, playing in horrible bars and garages, to being recognized by NARIS and the Grammy Foundation, headlining media-sponsored showcases at South by Southwest, Nemo Music Festival, the Harvest of Hope Music Festival, the Bar Music Festival, and booking independent tours by myself and lying and saying I was a manager and agent up the East Coast and all the way west, and as well as goofing around in France and Japan playing acoustic guitar. And I also work for Reaction Music Magazine, where they're still trying to figure out what I do there.
This panel is going to be about marketing, touring, and band management. I think from the outset, I think we should probably define, put a little sharper point on, I think, what we got on this net, the previous panel, and what your content is. We should probably define that. In the first panel, we talked a little bit about your recording and your music, and a little bit about the performance and touring. But ultimately, I think whatever music is, and I think we're all going to define that differently, the music is going to exist in different forms. The recorded form in the form of a performance, in the form of a recorded performance, so video. I know at Creative Loafing, most recently we've had a little digital transformation happen, and we've had to kind of re-visualize what it is to have our content exist. The print product, the magazine, the newspaper, as you know, all newspaper numbers are declining, and we've kind of had to reinvent the website and freshen that up a little bit. I would say content across the board has to be visualized, and this is the model we use, in at least 7 platforms, and that's print, web, video, audio, a physical event that takes place, messaging, and that can be, it's kind of like a spin-off of the web. And I think did I forget one of the 7?
The marketing activity?
Yeah, some kind of marketing activity. But you have to be creating content on all of these platforms. Your recorded music should be treated differently than your performed music, and it's going to have to be marketed differently than the music you perform. So I think with that as a starting point, let's start with Sean, because he's the new guy, on how bands should approach managing this content, whether it's CDs, t-shirts, digital recordings, events, booking their events. How should bands approach the management of their content?
Basically what's going on right now in the industry is that it's extremely easy to, like the whole gotcha journalism thing. If you're in a band and you're touting yourself as punk rock and DIY, but meanwhile you have a trust fund, and you relate to the Coppolas, somebody's going to find out, and it's not going to work out. So basically what bands are figuring out at this point is that everything that you have has to be a cohesive unit, to the point where whoever's viewing it, being a booking agent, a club, a management firm, a record label, a talent agency, when they look at the big picture, they see your webpage first, or they see your MySpace first, and they see the photos of the band. It looks and is, hopefully, honest. It's true to form. The t-shirts look like they're supposed to be t-shirts for the band that you're in. All the photography is professional at that point, hopefully. The way the CD's presented is in a professional, retail-ready fashion. And the whole unit, much like if it's some company that's launching a new product, and I hate referring to music as a product, but that's how it's consumed at this point, everything has to match one another. Otherwise, what winds up happening is it seems disingenuous. I can't count the amount of times that I've played shows on the road with a local band in some other city besides here, and or had a band on tour here that we've helped out and played with. They basically have like burned CDs with their names written in a magic marker on them. And while that may be cool to do giveaway stuff, really what winds up happening is you become limited by the materials that you can give to people. So as far as content management goes, everything needs to seem like it's one part of this whole entity that somebody hopefully can listen to and believe in. The web-based, Twitter, everything else, it's going out to people that may or may be interested in you or listening to you has to match one another as a package.
Stephen?
I agree with what Sean said. I guess I would only add that, you know, if you're a musician, you're in a band, maybe you have a lot of experience or very little experience. And if you're new to this, you might be thinking, well, that's coming down the road. You know, maybe I'll get picked up by some tiny label, and then they'll fund this, and that's kind of the way it used to be. You had songs, and then you would get them out there, and then someone would take over that for you. But that doesn't really happen anymore. So, like Sean was saying, taking responsibility for your brand, your image, is important, because the first impression, you can't really get beyond that first impression. And oftentimes, your first impression as a band is not your sound. It's your name, it's what scene you're in, it's what your logo looks like, it's what you dress like. You may not like that, that's just the way it is. So taking control of that is definitely more important than ever, I think. Because unless you want to be the next 98 degrees and have like someone come and transform your look and make you into a product, I don't think there's anybody in this auditorium who's going that route. If you're going the more genuine route, then you have to take a hard look and refine what it is you're doing. What does my product look like? Are my CDs professional looking? And if not, what can I do to change that?
I think I would add, too, that whatever materials you have probably should be relevant to whatever market you're going after. I think that if you've got a pop band and your flyers have a lot of like skulls and candelabras and dripping wax and, you know, look like a metal band, you're probably going to, you know, bait and switch and upset some people when they actually go see the show that night at the, you know, wherever you're playing. I think that, again, when Sean said about the t-shirts should feel like you sound. Whatever you do should 100% be an attempt to connect with people who are into your music. And I mean, Ivan and I talked about this too. If somebody says that your band sounds like Pink Floyd or like the Dave Matthews Band, and you don't like Pink Floyd or the Dave Matthews Band, it's okay. Say thank you, and then go home and write a press release and say you sound like Pink Floyd or the Dave Matthews Band. Use that, because that's what people can connect you with. They're going to need something to connect you with and to describe to their friends. I think even back to the John Lennon thing too. I mean, if you're referencing John Lennon, if somebody comes to your show and then you don't sound like the Beatles, you know, they might be upset.
And we hate that. I mean, musicians, we all hate it. When people come up to us and tell us what we sound like, I mean, unless it's a rare circumstance that they say it's someone we really like, because they almost never say it's our influence. But I think everybody up here who plays music had that moment, that aha moment, where you start to look harder at what you do sound like and said, okay, you know, I don't sound like what I think I sound like. I might sound like something very different, and that's okay. And then start to embrace it, even if it's not an influence of yours.
I remember the first time I saw the Beauvilles press release, this new band called the Beauvilles that Sean was debuting, and it was described as Miles Davis meets the Afghan Wigs. I thought,